Androids, or synthetics, have continually played integral parts in stories within the Alien universe, whether in posing a threat such as Ash, or operating with good intentions such as Bishop, or somewhere in between, as we've seen with David 8. The androids depicted in the franchise are similar to the depictions of artificially intelligent machines made to look like humans, much like from what we've seen before and after. They're high on logic and limited in emotion. One of the key aesthetic traits that sets them apart, however, would be their inner workings and biology. Unlike a series of metallic gears and bone structure looking very much robotic underneath the human-looking exterior, these androids are instead made up of a biology that appears softer and more human-like, even with white blood apparently pumping through their system. Other than what lies beneath, an android, upon first glance, is nearly indistinguishable from a human. The Weyland-Yutani report credits Peter Weyland as the creator and innovator behind androids as we know them within the universe, stating that in 2025, Weyland's lifelong interest in cybernetics led to the introduction of David, the first artificial person. Combining the most advanced sensory hardware, hydraulic biomechanical methods and apparatus, polynylon tissue compounds, and recognition information amalgamation software, David was a marvel of focus and innovation. Initial iterations were clearly artificial, but subsequent Davids continued to raise the bar for human likeness, incorporating emotive capability, artificial cell regeneration, and nearly exponential increases in processing speed. Peter Weyland left behind a wealth of notes and designs on his synthetics work, giving Weyland Corporation an edge in the field for the next several decades. The first Hyperdyne Systems series, released in 2107, were integrated into company workforces as task workers and research assistants. Personality subprograms could be downloaded depending on the artificial person application, and all models ran a laboratory-installed subprogram that ensured complete loyalty to the company interests. This would certainly explain at least partially Ash's actions, who, in addition to ensuring the details of Special Order 937 went smoothly, also took his own measures, going so far as to attempt to kill Ripley when she finds out about the truth behind their mission to LV-426. The Bishop android himself even admits that the previous models, the Hyperdyne 120-A2s, were a bit twitchy. As the Weyland-Yutani report explains, these particular models were not designed with human life protection protocols. That industry standard was not established until 2124, and Ash's attack on the Nostromo's crew was not out of keeping with the specificity of company orders. The company was able to blame Ash's behavior on a design flaw. There was no secondary backup for the magnetic synapse chamber in the brain, but obviously the 120-A2 attacked Ripley before it sustained injury. Ash was ordered to obtain a specimen of the alien at any cost, and did its best to fulfill that purpose. Improvements in synthetic quality continued. Throughout the early to mid-2100s, new models came out in rapid succession, seeking to improve on what had already been accomplished. Synthetic placement on company-financed missions became a standard practice for crew safety and for documentation purposes. Artificial persons, as shown in the Alien universe, also proved to be integral members within the USCM missions as part of these standard practices. The Colonial Marines Tech Manual describes that the Colonial Marine Corps regards them as an invaluable resource, supporting frontline units as multi-role team members and mobile databases. Marine androids are always employed in a non-combatant role, usually as drivers, pilots, medics, and scientific advisors to combat units at platoon level and above. Though they are artificial intelligences in the broad sense, legally androids are classified as core property and can be ordered to perform hazardous tasks in place of a human. The modern synthetic is a highly complex machine, stronger, faster, and better coordinated than an average human. The basic chassis is a carbon fiber skeleton with a latchment point for artificial musculature. The muscles are vat-grown silicone colloids, powered either by pumped microhydraulics or electrical stimulation. So based on this information, it would seem that the white blood we see when an android is damaged is a means to ensure their inner workings are flowing properly. The circulatory fluid is a form of white liquid latex used to lubricate their interior systems. The fluid's color, it would seem, just happens to be naturally white, although it is a useful physical trait to determine that the artificial person is in fact artificial. Though interestingly, debate still continues as to whether or not Bishop 2, as seen in Alien 3, is actually a robot, being able to withstand a heavy blow with a wrench which practically leaves his ear hanging from his head. But The red blood leads many to believe that he is still human, regardless of that. It's also noted that power for the android is supplied by a 25 kilowatt hydrogen fuel cell with a life of approximately 400 days between refuelings. As in a human, the skeletal structure is inherently unstable and is effectively suspended by the musculature. No limb locking, joint motorization, or gyrostabilization is present as in other anthropomorphic frames. Instead, the muscles must work actively to keep the chassis standing upright while active feedback systems control its stability. Though the muscles can withstand considerable wear and tear, the lack of self-repair facility means that they eventually lose their strength and become increasingly elastic over time. It is recommended that the muscle system be overhauled on a regular basis and individual elements replaced fully every 2 years. Muscle layout and operation, as with certain other internal functions, are homologous with those of the human body. Indeed, military synthetics are designed to be virtually indistinguishable in appearance from a human being. The synthetic's mind is an integrated carbon-60 processor, and memory capacity includes a 1 terabyte of fast cache buffer RAM and 1.2 petabyte of non-volatile memory. The system is architectured around a very powerful heuristic logic driver, making decisions based on imported sensory data, information drawn from experiences, and the android's vast inbuilt databases. Intuitive functions are derived from a suite of nested contextual and semantic programs linked by self-mapping loops of tangled hierarchies. However, an android's ability to understand and process abstract concepts and symbolics, though powerful, is limited. Androids display synthesized emotions, superficially register self-awareness, and most importantly of all, have the ability to reason, conceptualize, and offer opinion. However, these abilities do not infer human-like consciousness, even though for all other intents and purposes, synthetics are artificial intelligences. Amidst its depictions of advanced space shuttles, futuristic weaponry, and a complex alien species, I think the Alien series deserves a large amount of kudos for its interpretation of synthetic humans. Not only with a great amount of detail put into their biological makeup, but resulting in interesting characters that each in their own ways contributed heavily to the stories being told. So I'd like to ask, who is your favorite artificial person from the Alien movies, or even from the extended universe in novels and comics? Each have their own unique traits that I think make them compelling characters, so please comment below and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. And as always, thanks for watching, I really appreciate it, and if you like this video, please be sure to give it a like, and you can also hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest from the channel. If there's an Alien Universe topic you'd like to see covered, I'd love to hear your suggestion below. You can also follow Alien_Theory on Twitter and Alien Theory YT on Facebook for more, and until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.